So we'll chant Om 3 times. We'll discussing each month different aspects of yoga science, yoga philosophy, yoga psychology, yoga process. I'm more or less a sort of a brass tacks type of teacher, where I believe in getting to the point, getting the work done. Life is short. The clock is ticking. Get on with it. So all of yoga is a process of self-discovery. And you have to analyze each word. What is self? What is discovery? What is process? Look at every single word and make sure you have a very clear understanding of it. Take the time to do that kind of work. Today our topic is Yogic Self Renewal. Creating your future, is that it? Creating your future? Creating your future. So this is a very important topic. We can either move through life in sort of a day-to-day random way, or we can get a very set of defined dreams and move towards it in a very logical, practical way. But you'll notice that I said yogic renewal. Are you comfortable? You have enough? Okay. Yeah. Yogic renewal. I didn't say like common human life renewal. You can go to a gym or your psychology for that. Yogic renewal means that you come into a deep understanding of life, a deep intimacy with life, a deep type of reverie with life, a deep kind of compassionate action in life. So the moment you tack on the word yoga, there's a whole bunch of things that it's like looking at the mountain peak as opposed to the base of the mountain. It's a whole different thing. The point of view that you have at the peak of the mountain is very different than the point of view at the base of the mountain. Very different view, very different vision. So yoga, all forms of genuine yoga are for people who want to be, in a healthy way, exceptional. It's not just a health culture. In this country, people, when they say the word yoga, they think of hatha yoga, which is the yoga of physical culture, the yoga of balance. It's balancing. It's like ha, tha. Ha is sun. Tha is lunar. See, so it's a balancing of the forces, which brings about health. That's only that's like one chapter in an encyclopedia when you talk about yoga. Real yoga is to bring direct personal intimacy with the divine. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yoga, which means to yoke or to bind. So what are you yoking or binding together? You're yoking or binding together the limited self with the unlimited self, with the human condition to the divine condition. See? If you're just living a normal, regular life, you're just very actively involved in the human condition. So you read the newspapers and see what humans are doing. There you have it. If you read the scriptures, then you'll see what the saints are doing. The scriptures of all the religions. Then you'll see what the exceptional souls were doing. Okay? The evolutionary goal of all humans is to become purely divine. See? Right now we're a big masala, a big mixture of all the stuff of the earth and the seeds and essences of the divine mixed in there, but often quiet and dormant because we're involved in concentrating purely, on our earth energies. But we have a whole body of sacred energies that are there. If you water those seeds, they'll bloom. If you don't water those seeds, they'll stay dormant. So normally, we're watering the seeds of very active worldliness. So we have our bicycle and our latte, and our movie schedule. Nothing matter with it, but that's, what you engage in is what you're creating your own destiny. See? So in the yoga process, when you say renewal, you have to take a very deep analytical look at yourself and figure out a purpose. Renewal for what? Why? Do you want to be renewed so that you can be a stronger rogue or a bigger drama queen? You have to see what you've got to unpack, what you've got to see what you want to enhance. If without proper analysis, you could enhance just a lot of nonsense. So we have to take before you enter a process, you have to create a goal of what type of human being do you want to be? What type of experience do you want to have in the world? What type of effect do you want to have in the world? See, these are really important things to think about. And then you have to query what type of role models have really inspired you, and then analyze what the nature of those role models are. You might want to be, an airplane pilot. Nothing matter with that, but that has nothing to do with yoga. Or you might want to be like a Thich Nhat Hanh, or a Gandhi, or any of the great saints, Dalai Lama, my Guruji, Sankhya Shavanas. Then you want the heights of humanity. You want to be a fully developed, caring, insightful being. That's a whole other deal. See, that's the yoga part. So you have to analyze who your role models are and why. What was that role model's effect in the world? See? What was that role model's effect in the world? So before you start this whole process of yogic renewal, there's a certain amount of intelligent analysis that each and every one has to do in order to acquire the greatest, deepest, most potent internal experience. So remember, we prefaced with yoga. So the moment you say yoga, you're talking about the saints and masters as a goal. You know, the illumined humanitarians, not the regular humanitarians, the illumined humanitarians. See? So there's a thoughtful analysis, and one should make a process of starting to read the lives of saints. If you want to read a really good adventure story, read the lives of saints. It's every machination of life happens to these people. You know, every kind of drama comes their way. But what is interesting is how they manage life. You know, how they persevere in life, and their effect in the world. So we have to, think really deeply about who we want to become, or what we want to become. One of your greatest obstacles will be your habits. Habits can liberate you, or habits can bury you. So if you don't do a proper analysis of your habits, you could be trying to run uphill with an anchor on your back, which is most people's case. So we have to take a very careful look at what our physical habits are, what our emotional habits are, and what our mental habits are. Some of them are going to help you. Some of them are going to drag you down. Some of them are going to stop you full square in spot. You're getting nowhere. So a lot of times, I've been practicing meditation 10 years. I've been practicing meditation, and they haven't made 2 inches of progress. Why? They have habits that are dragging them down, that are stronger than their habits of practice, of Dharma practice. So, you've got to be honest with yourself, a type of ruthless honesty. You don't got to go publicize your problems. That's not necessary. But you have to be really honest to say, what are the things that I may be comfortable with, but are not productive? Because if you were way, way, way uncomfortable with those bad habits, you would have thrown them off a long time ago. But you sort of come to an accommodation with some of your not that great habits. So you sort of live with it. It's like living with a noisy neighbor. You're not moving, so you deal with it. But it's not particularly productive for your life. So you've got to, you got to figure out, like for the young people, if they're out clubbing 4 nights a week, you're not that fit for yoga yet. It's not that you're not a good person. It's that you're otherwise occupied. Okay? Not enough available energy is there to climb the mountain. You're sleeping into noon. So, or whatever, if your emotional life is being a drama queen, or over possessive, or all these kinds of silly things, just be honest about it and ask yourself, is this working for me? Is it really making me happy? Am I there's a discrimination that people have to come to, and the 2 words, one word is pleasure, another word is joy. Pleasure can be latte, your dance life, your sexual life, all this kind of stuff. Or joy, which means independent of anything that's going on, you feel great, you feel wonderful. Independent of anything. with your latte, you're depending on your coffee. You know, with the sex, you're depending on your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you know, or husband. You know, but joy is independent of any object, of any circumstance. It's just present. So you have to make that discrimination. You know, how much of my energy am I investing in pleasure, and how much of my energy am I investing in joy? See? We don't make that discrimination. We sort of confusingly think they're the same. They're not the same. So if you start making decisions based on joy, there's a whole other psychological process that goes on. You know, if you make your decisions based on pleasure, you're thinking, well, this restaurant, do I want Thai food tonight, or do I want French? See? That's pleasure. Nothing matter with it, but that's where you are. As where joy doesn't make a difference what restaurant you eat in. You know, you feel great, you feel wonderful, you love the world. You know, you love yourself. So this is a very important discrimination. In the yoga process, you don't abandon pleasure, but joy trumps pleasure. See? So your primary focus is to develop joy, to experience joy, see, which is independent of any life prop or life circumstance. So you make this analysis of your physical habits, your emotional habits, your mental habits. You know, a mental habit, a positive mental habit, is that when you see something nice, you say it. Wow, that's a wonderful dress. Oh, your skin looks great. You look radiant. Something's going good with you. You know, you say something nice, as opposed to saying, "You're wearing those shoes today." You know, which is critical. You know, nobody needs that. Not necessary. Even if it's true, it's not necessary. So, you know, this kind of unpacking, you know, if you're going to go mountain climbing, which yogic process is, it's a spiritual mountain, you want to take with you what you need. Okay? You don't want to drag the piano with you. A little bit tough to carry it up the mountain. You take what you need. So this kind of self-analysis, it's not a critical self-analysis. It's an honest self-analysis. That's what it is. Don't get down on yourself. Just say, I can use this, not so much this. You know? That way you can be very, very efficient. Because in the yogic process, it's going to demand everything from you. It's going to demand the very best in you. And the very best effort in you, the very best insight in you, the very best energy in you. It's going to demand all of those things. You know, saints don't stumble into their sanctity. It's a struggle. You know, it's a struggle. You know, there's no express train to a higher consciousness. It's a long, like if you remember in the early California history, the Chinese immigrants building the railroad. If you can think about that, very difficult and very deliberate struggle. That's what you're in for. It's a very deliberate and it's a very difficult struggle. You know, was Jesus' life a cakewalk? I don't think so. I don't think so. Was it a sanctified life? Absolutely. Absolutely. But the good thing is, you know, every human being has a radical blessing on their head and will receive maximum aid from their divine elder brothers and sisters from the kingdom if they avail themselves of that opportunity. You know, half the time, heaven shows up at the door, and you say, "Not now. I'm busy." You know? That's our situation because we're so distracted. There's a little bit of a funny story like that. A fellow is traveling, and he realizes, gee, it's Sunday. You know, I should go to a church and sit and just hear the gospel spoken. I'm tired. I need some rest, and I need some inspiration. So he's been traveling, so the body's a little bit rough. The clothes are a little bit rough, you know. But he feels inspired. Gee, I want to hear an inspirational message. I want to remember something of the truth today. So he sees that church down the road, and he goes there. And he doesn't want to just barge in because he's new to town, so he knocks quietly. Nobody answers. He knocks again. And then finally the usher comes in, comes to the door and looks at his feet, and then looks him up and looks him down and says, "Go away, go away." So the usher is thinking of him as a vagrant. Go away. You're a stranger. You're not dressed appropriately. Go away. So the fellow's his heart broken. He just wanted to hear a message of inspiration. So down crest, he turns around and he's walking down the stairs, and then he looks up and he sees this radiant being. And he goes, "Oh my God." And it's Master Jesus standing there. And he says, "Don't worry, brother. I myself have been trying to get in there for years." A little story. So, the great souls are there. If we have a sincere heart, the great souls are there, and there are many blessings there. But we have to be prepared to receive. We have to be looking for the guest. See, we have to have an open cup instead of a closed door. We have to look with deep insight as opposed to great judgment. You know, her nose is too long. You know, all this kind of nonsense. You know, she dresses the wrong way. The skin color is not right. All this nonsense. Unfortunate judgments. You know, in the yoga process, you learn much more about the native vision of your heart, and you try to work in the world with looking through that native vision in your heart. Then not so much judgment. Not so much judgment. You know, it's like if you go into a maternity hall and there's all these babies, there's 20 babies lying down. You want to kiss every one of them. You know, are they all different personalities? Yeah. Are they all different races? Yeah. Will they manifest all different potentialities? Yeah. But which one don't you want to kiss? Which one don't you want to hug? They're all beautiful. See? At that moment, you're looking through your native heart. You know, you're not looking through your head. Through your head is all your issues you're looking through. You have all these veils that you're looking through that say, "Oh, that one's nicer than this one." What's the matter with you? You know, something's the matter with your mind. So we have to decide where we want to go and what we want, what we really want. Do we want pleasure? Or do we want joy? Do you want to stand with the masters, or do you want to stand with common humanity? Which is, look at the newspapers. You'll see what's happening there. What effect do you want to have in the world? You know, most people don't think about that. What effect do they want to have in the world? They're mostly just plowing through, trying to get something for themselves, as opposed to thinking about their spiritual legacy. And when I say your spiritual legacy, It means what joy, what goodness, what kindness did you bring into the world? How much of the world did you make a garden? You know, as opposed to a desert. You know, how much did you do? You know, did you really enrich this place while you were here? Or did you try to get as much as possible at any cost? All of these things are part of the yogic process in trying to figure out renewal. I mean, in this talk, I could say, oh, do this pranayama, do this exercise, and eat this proper food. But what good is that if you haven't gotten your head right? If you haven't gotten your goals right? So if I told you the right pranayama, the right exercise, and the right food, you might just be a healthier rogue. You know? So it's your mind that you have to get adjusted. And then everything else will fall in line. The proper pranayama, the proper food, the proper activities, all that will fall in line. But you have to get your mind right. See? You have to set an intelligent, positive goal, and you've got to de-junk. See? Both are necessary. You can have a great goal, but if you got a load of junk, you're not going anywhere. See? So there's a cleansing that must be done before the journey. See? A cleansing must be done before the journey, before this kind of yogic renewal. Yogic renewal is you've gone through that process of positive self-analysis. This is not getting down on yourself. It's not making judgments about yourself. The question is, what is useful and what's useless? What's useful and what's useless? You know, if I'm climbing the mountain, it's not a good time to take the piano. Leave it behind. It's not useful for the journey. So if you want insight into the nature of God, into the nature of the hearts of saints, you say, what do I need for that journey? Or you have some divine figure that really inspires you, and you do an analysis of their character, and then you look at yourself next to that and say, okay, what are the adjustments I must make in order to have that kind of, benefic character and benefic effect, benefic experience. See? Just, unless you have something to judge yourself against, pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. So we need to make realistic goals, and don't think, oh, they're so high and I'm so low. Forget all that nonsense. They were a human being and became sacred. You're a human being. Why not? It's already in your DNA. It's just a question of when you get after it. It's already in you. It's in you. But, we've been mucking around with all the 10,000 habits of the world and not investigating the habits of the kingdom. So, you get what you investigate. So, now, by reading lots of biographies of saints, which can give you some clarity as opposed to, in regard to what you want to become and what effect that you want to have in the world. So now you have something to work with. This is like, you're going to, like if everyone says, am I the best me possible? I don't think any of us can raise our hands. This might be sort of an okay working model. I'm not that happy, but I'm still breathing. So we're sort of getting along, getting on and getting along. But if we say, am I the best me? I don't think anybody's raising their hand. But the whole yogic process is the process of manifesting the best me. See? That's the whole process, is finding the best me, of developing the best me. Can it be done? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can every person in this room have all the mystical experiences that happen in the path of sanctity? Absolutely. 100%. I'm a guy who can testify that it's definitely so. It can happen. Just depends on your goal. It wasn't your goal before. So you didn't have that. You didn't have the desire for a yogic self renewal or yogic renewal. You didn't have the goal. So of course you're not there. You know, I didn't have the goal to go to Fresno. I'm in Berkeley. If I had that goal, I'd be in Fresno. See? So you have to understand. So now with this, we're adjusting our goal to say, I want to have a higher experience. I want to have a deeper experience. I want to have a more meaningful experience. What do I need for that journey? See? So you study the lives of saints. Go find a real yogi. Yogi or yogini. Go find a real one. There's lots of people that are just nonsense. You know, peacocks. You know, with very clever psychology. You know, but it's like anything. You know, you have quartz rocks and you have diamonds. Are they both native to the earth? Absolutely. But one you can find anywhere, and the others you have to really look. You know, one has modest value, one has great value. So you find a real yogi. You know, someone who's paying the price of admission. You know, paying the price that it costs to move towards the heaven, the kingdom. And like anything, everybody in this room, or all you people are professionals one way or the other. You all have to go through some kind of a professional apprenticeship. Every one of you did. You all had professors, every one of you. What do you think a yogi is? You know, he or she is just a type of professor. You know, that's been endowed with a certain body of knowledge, a certain body of experience, so that you can get from point A to point B. See? That's all. So the yogi is no different than you, but chose a different journey, chose the path of yogic self-renewal, chose the path of profound self-analysis and profound application of a humanitarian consciousness. You know, they're not thinking about themselves, they're thinking about the welfare of the earth, the welfare of the animals, the welfare of the humans, the welfare of the sky, welfare of the elements. You know, that is their primary thought going on all the time in their minds. You know, how do I support and uplift the welfare of others? That is what is in the minds of real yogis all the time. It's not on Sunday. It's 24/7. 24/7. That is their life contemplation. So that might not sound that interesting to some people. So that might be the time to run for the door or get out the window, however. But if it does sound interesting to you, you're in the right place. There's others, also many others. So once you sort of acquire an insight as to where you want to go, and an insight of what I can slowly, progressively release, then you're in the process of yogic renewal. So where do I want to go? And when can I reasonably release right now? And then just say, well, maybe I can't release everything right now, but it's okay, bit by bit. What's the stuff that you don't need for the journey? You don't have to let go of it all right. That's too traumatizing. No need. Just bit by bit, what can you release? It's like you see this phenomena of people who become hoarders. They hoard everything. And then you have some good person come in and say, well, what can you release? And it's bit by bit. They can come back to some kind of a reasonable condition of not dragging everything with them. We're no different. We hoard all kinds of things. All kinds of physical memories, all kinds of emotional memories, all kinds of psychological memories. We're holding on to it. We're taking it with us. But is it helping us? Is it really getting us to joy? Probably not. Probably not. So there's a process of release and the process of intelligent aspiration. Once you've got that sorted out, you are in the yogic process of renewal. Then you get next to some yogi who can tell you what's not in the books, who has access to a body of knowledge and a body of energy that is needed for the journey. See? And then you start your apprenticeship, which it really is. It's an apprenticeship. Just like if you go camping. You go out there with a really good camper and he shows you the ropes. How do you find food? How do you find water? How do you find shelter? Which way is north? See? You need somebody out there to tell you how to manage the environment. See? And when a yogi is talking about environment, we're talking about both your internal environment and your external environment. So, a lot of times people come to me and say, "Hey, Hari, I hear that you know something about yoga. Could you help me out?" So I say, "Yeah, I'll stop by your house. We'll have tea and chat." And then I visit the home, and there's nothing in the home that reflects the desire for the journey. So if there's nothing in the home that reflects the desire for the journey, are you really interested in going? I don't think so. What it is just a fantasy. It's a feel-good fantasy, but you're not going anywhere. This is super common. If you want to know something about the divine, and there's nothing about the divine reflected in your home, let me tell you, your environment is hugely important. And your environment reflects where you are. First thing I do when I walk into somebody's house is I go look to see what they're reading. There's every kind of crime novel, every kind of fantasy, every kind of love novel. Well, God bless you and good luck with that. Because that's where you're going, man. That is your hidden psychological dynamics. That's what you spend time with when no one's watching. You're not going anywhere in regards to yoga. You're just, trumbling through the earth. God bless you. Good luck. There's nothing wrong. But it's not ascending that height of yoga. So, or there's no inspirational image in the home. Well, good luck with that. Good luck. You're not going anywhere. So these are you have to have an environment that supports the dream. It's like saying I want to go boating and you don't have a boat. Well, good luck with that. Good luck. Learn to swim. So you have to think, okay, when I walk into my home, after I've done my analysis of what I want to be in the world, what expression do I want to be in the world? Does my home reflect any of it? Or what percentage of my home reflects my highest goals, my highest dreams? So you have to take a beat. That your house is a mirror of what's happening in your psyche. It's just a big fat mirror. Be aware. I mean, your home is your comfort zone, and you made it. Nobody else crafted it. You did it. So it's your mirror. See? So if you're talking, spiritual this and spiritual that, and Hari walks in your home and it's this big vacant lot. There's nothing of God there, nothing of inspiration there. That's just your fantasy then. You're talking about, this is what we call armchair yogis. They get very wide derrieres, and they have their latte, and they talk a lot about spiritual life, and they never get off their derriere. Saying it politely. So they have great fantastical conversations about the journey and they'll talk about some of the books they've read, but they've never gotten off the bottoms. So, again, it's a zero start. The boatman without a boat.
Question.
Yes.
I would think it'd be more about the spirit of the home rather than the material things.
Nope.
Of the home.
Look. Technically, you're correct. But your home reflects what's going on in you and what you've created as a comfort zone and what you reflect upon. So you'll go into some houses, a big couch and a big stereo and a big television. Well, that's what's going on. You know, I want comfort, I want entertainment. And that's a big thing because that's a big couch and a big screen television. I want comfort and I want entertainment. So that's what's happening in your psyche. There's not a whole lot of spirit going on there. It's just what's comfortable for you. See? You can tell me about spirit, but that's a bunch of nonsense if it's not reflected in your home. That means you're the armchair yogi. You're just fantasizing about these things, but you're not delivering. You know, if you go to an artist's home, it's filled with art. If you go to a craftsman's home, it's filled with crafts. If you go to an intellectual's home, it's filled with books. See? Because it's a reflection of what's going on inside of them. See? If you go to a home and there's no physical reflection of spirit, unless they're an exception, sort of a quiet hermit mystic, which is an exception, it's the average John and Jane. It should be manifest in the home. It should be physically manifest in the home. If it's not physically manifest in the home, you're dealing with a fantasy. You're dealing with a psychic fantasy. See? Your inner dreams, your inner goals will be reflected in your home. That is what you're about. That is what you're about. If I go to Sylvia's home, there's art all over. She's a very fine artist. That is an expression of part of her beingness. See? I'll know right away, oh, this is an artist. Right away. There's no guessing. It's made manifest. See? If I go to a yogi's home, I'm going to see a real shrine. Because that's what that yogi's about. That yogi has a deep adoration of the divine. You know, it's going to be found somewhere. You know, it will be there. You know, and if you approach it, you'll feel the devotion. See? So we have to. Yoga is a little bit tough because there's a type of stripping process, a type of radical honesty that you have to have in order to really go at this process. It takes time. It takes a long time. You know, sometimes we make accommodations. We're married people. We have families, so the house is reflecting that. Or the husband likes things this way, but you have a hidden spiritual energy that you're really trying to generate. But like in a case like you, I don't know because I've never been to your home. You've maintained association for 20 some odd years with a yogi. You know? So you might not have big shrines and all this all over the house, but quietly in your heart, you've maintained a constant relationship with yogis and you've met saints in your life. So, you know, you might have the case where that constant activity is hidden, but it's there and it's identifiable. It's identifiable. You know, the house may look common to accommodate the husband. But the heart, if you investigate the person, look what she's done. Look what she studied. See? So it's like that. It's like that. But for the rest of you guys, it's nice to see some manifestation of your dream in your home. It just helps to support you. And also, you have to understand something. This world, 24/7, wants to keep your feet rooted to the earth. 24/7, Mahamaya is working for you to stay here. All the time. So you have to try to build a zone where you remember truth, where you remember the reality. See? The moment you walk out the door, 10,000 forms of advertisements say, stay here. We're all here with you. You know, it's like the lemons going off the cliff. Stay with us. The group loves you. You know, every kind of, from Cheerios to vodka and pretty women. All stay here. We have the entertainment here. We'll give you this pleasure. We're going to give you that pleasure. See, everything is designed to keep you firmly rooted in the swamp of the world. See? That's the way it is. That is the way it is. So your home becomes like a little liberation zone, a zone of divine remembrance, a zone of remembrance of the inner gift and the great journey. See? Because you're not going to get it out there. It's, so maybe you pass one church and 25 bars. One church and 25 clubs. One church and hundreds of pretty scintillating clothing stores. One church and hundreds of wonderful food places. That's all going to keep you wrapped up, man. You have to understand what you're up against, what you're really up against. So that's why the environment of your home is so, so, so important. It becomes your zone of spiritual comfort, spiritual renewal, spiritual remembrance. See? Because if you don't build it into your life, nobody else will. Nobody's going to build it for you. This is your own ark. This is your own boat out of here. See? This is a boat that you have to build. So, it's like you walk into my house, there's all this shrine and stuff. Well, that's what Hari's about, Don't talk to me about anything other than yoga. I am not interested. I am just not interested. But if you understand yoga, you understand yoga is in everything. If I go with Rogelio on a camping trip, there's nothing I see that is not in some way involved in yoga. If he hands me a buck knife, I can tell him stories about discrimination and how this knife cleaves and how the wisdom comes. Or if you show me the dirt, or you show me a tree, there's a story. There's a story in yoga. There's nothing I'll see that doesn't involve yoga. And this is what you have to come to appreciate, that yoga is the hidden essence of everything. The hidden essence of everything. Yes?
So Hari, if you walk into a house and you see beautiful flowers and you see the objects in nature that you brought home when you felt touched by the divine or part of the divine,
Yes.
is that part as well as specific images of the sacred, but in a more general way? Would that be creating
Sure. You're
sacred
in the
space?
Yeah, you're moving in that direction because you're when you see a flower or a flower vase filled with flowers, that brings a joy. That joy is that image or that presence of the flowers is really a reflection of a spark in your heart. That is really what it is. It's really a mirror. Otherwise, you wouldn't have picked it up. We like things like ourselves. That's what we pick up in the world. We like things like ourselves. See? So when you picked up that flower or that beautiful sculpture, that is something reflective in yourself. That's a spark of a self-remembrance. See? It's really part of you. It's really part of you. And it's also a way back to you. See? It's a way back to you. As opposed to the tons of stuff that we collect that has nothing to do with us but society says you should have it. See? If you walk into the house and the house is barren, people think, what's the matter with her? You know? Like for years I didn't have a bed. It's not because I couldn't afford a bed. I just had a piece of cloth. I laid down, and within 2 minutes I was asleep. Slept like a baby for years. Like a baby. And then some of the yogis who were coming to study, they came into the flat and said, oh, Jesus, poor Hari. He's sleeping on the floor. I'm sleeping better than they are. I am getting deeper rest than they are. He must not have anything. Because the house was sparse, other than books. You know? And finally they bought me the bed. That bed is the bed I'm sitting on right now. But it was bought out of their compassion, but out of their misperception. I was perfectly happy sleeping on the floor. I never had an uncomfortable moment, and I slept like a baby. But
so some people have compartments in their houses. There's
Yeah.
a project room, there's an altar room, there's entertainment room.
okay,
Like for myself, it's not enough. I need to be outside in nature to feel
yeah, that's why
divinity.
you're a nature boy, yeah. Well, a logical compartment. How do you say that word? To
Compartments,
compartmentalize.
Yeah.
No problem. That just shows a type of engineering type mind. A person who thinks like that. No problem. But I'll add a little caveat. As you go deeper into your journey of self-renewal, that spiritual energy should somehow be woven into each room. See? You can't say this is spiritual and that's not. See? No. That's a misperception. It's like, when is your heart not beating? When you're in this room and not that room? See? You're still present. Your spiritual energy is still present. So your spiritual energy has to be in your craft room, in your study room, in your living room, in your kitchen, because you're there. And essentially you're a spiritual entity. So when is the mirror of your heart to be removed? See? If you go into my kitchen, you'll find something of God in there. If you go into my bedroom, you're going to find something of God in there. Go into there's a shrine right in front of my computer. See? So when when do you forget God? See? If you're serious about this journey, when do you forget God? No way. You know, that's the energy of our existence. See? That's the milk of our mother. See?
Yeah, no, I'm just being difficult because this is more an ideal than what I have, but having a room that's very bare could be very spiritual.
Sure, of course. Well,
Focus us.
you can look at the Zen aesthetic.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's not mine.
yeah, but that's a very good example.
Yes.
Because that's just a different manifest form of spirituality.
Right.
You know, they're putting your attention on what is essential. You know, we like stuff in America. We love stuff. But the Zen aesthetic is to bring your mind to a peaceful, spacious openness with beauty. So you'll always find a flower arrangement. See? You'll find a spaciousness. You'll find a cleanliness. See? You'll find a spare and beautiful order. See? What's not spiritual
Right.
about that?
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Go into any monastery and look around. You know, there's not a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a presence. by that openness, by that spareness that reminds us of the journey. See? So there's many manifestations of the divine face. See? There's many manifestations of the divine face. So you have to slowly try to build it into your life, into your world, into your environment. Don't compartmentalize God. You know, when did God not give you your next breath? See? He gave it to you when you were in the toilet. He gave it to you when you're in the shrine. He gave it to you when you're in the kitchen. So that energy should flow through your life. You know, he allowed your heart to breathe no matter what room you were standing in. So when should you forget? At what point should you forget? See? That's it. Yes.
So I wanted to ask you how you remember when you're at work.
Ah.
When you're at work, there's always lots of challenges. But we can do our work efficiently and maintain a particular personal inner attitude. So by the attitude that we maintain that remembrance of God. See? Though the environment can be very, very challenging. And some people are acting good at work, some people are acting bad at work, some people are kind, some people are malicious. But we just have to remember that this is all a theater, and people are acting out their own personal illusions, delusions, and aspirations. See? And ultimately it'll all get sorted out. You know, but it's what we come into the room, what we hold on to. Like, regardless of whatever's going on, I'm going to become a yogi. I'm going to hold on to my own spiritual dignity. Regardless whether I'm in a tavern or I'm on a golf course, Hari is Hari is Hari. I'm going to maintain my own spiritual dignity. You know, what I'm about. That's what you have to do. You have to realize that you have to create your own sovereign boat and move through the world. That boat may be filled with pirates. That boat may be filled with humanitarians. But this boat is filled with yoga. That's all there is to it. See?
Well, what about a material thing? Is there a material thing that you can bring to work that helps you?
Oh, absolutely. There's many. You know, again, this is a question of get control over your environment. What is your environment? And then, you know, put up whatever imagery means something to you. It doesn't have to mean anything to anybody else. Forget them. Let them live out their own existence, create their own reality. You have to create your reality. So by having, you know, images that are uplifting on your desk or on your walls, you're saying this is what I am about. See, not what you're about, because they're all on their own journeys. Your space should represent your journey and to remind you of your own spiritual dignity, your own spiritual sovereignty. See? And you have to fight for it, because some people want their dream to trump your dream and for their dream to be your dream. See? If you look at many of the images in India, you'll often see the deities in sculpture form with swords in their hand and stuff like that. You know, part of the meaning of that, one of the meanings is discrimination, to see what really is. Another meaning is they're going to fight for what they are. You know, they're ready for every challenge. That's why the sword is not in. The sword is out. It means, any takers? You know, this is who I am. This is what I'll fight for. You know, I'm not backing up. This is where I stand. See, the sword is already out. You know, lets everybody know. You got to do that. You have to fight for your own spiritual revelation. Otherwise, someone wants to co-opt your life and for you to live their dream. See?
When you're painting a house, how do you have a physical reminder, or is it your
Yeah,
mala maybe? Or?
no. Well, you can wear a mala. That's valuable. But no, by your prayers in the morning, by the intention you set, you know, by the things that you think, you know. So for a guy like me who's doing some manual labor, you know, to earn a living, you know, it's not that hard to pray during the day. You know, it's not that hard to remember a mantra during the day. You know, it's not that hard to monitor my thoughts and as different people come into my mind to say prayers for their welfare. You know, because a lot of the work I do, I can go on autopilot and be doing all the physical repair work, you know, and still pray. You know, I didn't leave my philosophy at home when I got into the truck. See? So Hari's still present. You know, I'm wearing a different hat, but the heart of Hari is still present. So, you know, a life of prayer, a life of remembrance, it doesn't stay home when I walked out the door. It came with me because that's my life habit. See? So that's what you do. You know, you remember mantra, you remember prayer, you monitor your mind, you watch your mind. Oh, that wasn't such a great thought. Let me do something counter to that. Oh, that was a positive thought. Let me enhance that. You know, I'm still thinking when I'm working. So I can still monitor my thoughts and make adjustments. See? I didn't leave Hari at home when I left for work. So those are the kinds of things that you do. And if you're having a struggle with that, then you just say, okay, at 12:05, I'm going to say a prayer. You know, until it just becomes sort of your lifestyle, then you mechanically build in, you know, right before lunch, for 5 minutes, I'm going to say a prayer for the welfare of others. You know? And you just do that in a mechanical way until it becomes a habit. Until it just becomes part of your lifestyle. See? So don't expect anybody to appreciate what you're doing. Don't expect anybody to understand what you're doing. Just get over that. You know, and say this is who I am and this is what I do. You know, I'm living my life, not your life. See? And I don't expect to live your life, and I'm not interested in living your life. I'm interested in living my life. I have my own spiritual goals that I'm moving towards. See? So you have to respect yourself and your own spiritual process and not have that assumed or absorbed by your job. You know? You have to fight for it. I guarantee you this is a difficult spiritual truth. But you have to fight for every step you take in the spiritual life, in the yogic life. Because 99% of the people that you're going to involve yourself in are not doing the work. You know, they're chasing after comfort and pleasure. 99% of the people are chasing after comfort and pleasure. Just get real about that. Now, and if you're saying you want to climb spiritual Mount Everest, well, how many people are on that trek? You know, that's a very sparse group going up the hill. The rest of them are down in the valley. You know. So you're on for yogic renewal. You're trying for an exceptional condition, not a common condition. An exceptional condition. It's natural to every human being, but not every human being takes the journey now. Rogelio.
Yeah, the other thing you mentioned about the earth always wants to take our attention and
Your common life does, yeah.
maybe you can help us with that. How do you remember your body is your temple and living in it wherever you go? Like you remember, you told me about the heartbeat and the breath, it's always there, but we never, or hardly ever remember it during the day at work.
Yeah, this is the part of the process. You have to learn, there's a million different habits that you have to develop. See, we have habits that we have to jettison. We have to have a whole bunch of habits that we develop. So you have to create, I call it putting tags on things. So, and I've said this before, you can have very simple things like, okay, 3 times a day I want to sit for meditation and prayer. Fine, that's a standard. It's a basic standard. But in real life, we're going all over the place. We have to go here, we have to go there, we have this meeting, we have that meeting. So we have to create situations that remind us of the journey, remind us of sacredness. So, you know, I have a simple habit of anytime I pass through a door, I say a prayer. Anytime I pass through a door, I say a prayer. May all be well. Doesn't have to be big, long prayer. It could be long or short. You know, pray for the welfare of others. So, you know, you can for, let's say you have a physical, you want to develop a more physical habit. How many times do you shower? Well, roughly once or twice a day. Well, every time I hit the shower, I'll say a prayer. May all have the joy of cleansing. May all have water. May all have clean water. You know, may all have the pleasure of this physical renewal. You can take 2 minutes and say that prayer, and until you get that habit, put a note up in the shower. Until you get the habit of every time that you touch water, just to say, may all be refreshed. Okay, how many times you wash your hands during the day? Probably quite a few. So every time you touch water, see, don't think of water as just some dead element. Think of water as a vital element of life. And now that you're enjoying that water, why don't you pray that everybody else does too? Okay, you can do that. You can do that. Won't that create a lifestyle? Won't that create a remembrance? Won't that create a yogic disposition? Every time your hands touch water, to pray that may everyone else be refreshed, may everybody else be renewed, may everybody else have access. See? If you do just that, you are becoming a yogi. If you do just that, you're becoming a yogi. See? Because you're remembering it's not about you. Yeah. So
I use the pain in my neck to remind me that I'm here.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But you can, in your study, you have to refine that. Yeah, you're here. My attitude is so what? So what? Here doing what? Why don't you adjust that attitude? I feel pain. Now I can empathize with the pain of others. Okay? I can empathize with the pain of others. And now you take it a step further. If you're going to be a real yogi, what can I do? How can I help? See? See? Now we've expanded it from just, oh, I'm here, to a purely yogic mentality. I have empathy for the suffering of others, and what can I do? See? So it means get off your butt and do something. See? Why is the pain there? Why? What's God want me to know? Okay? Pain is not always bad. Pain helps us to remember and helps us to empathize. See? The truth is, we're not here for ourselves. We're not here for ourselves. If your life is about consuming, I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm also saying it's not about yoga. See? If your life is just about consuming, it's got nothing to do with yoga. It has everything to do with just the world process. See? When Gautama Buddha reached his liberation, he could have just disappeared into the infinite blissful reality. What did he do? He looked around at the world and go, oh my God, they're all suffering. And the rest of his life was engaged in relief of suffering. See? When Krishna saw the world being overrun by despots and cruel kings and cruel princes, what did he do? He engaged his disciple. Hey, you're a noble prince. You have a dharmic heart. Get on the battlefield. Restore balance. Restore justice. Restore human dignity. It's being crushed. Get on the field. See? See? It's always to improve the welfare of all. The earth is being crushed by this negativity. The humans and the animals are under tyranny. The body of Mother Earth has the foot of tyranny on it. Fight. Fight. See? Krishna made no bones. He said, get on the field and fight to Arjuna. Restore justice. Restore dignity to man and the earth. See? That's why we read scriptures. Because it's a heads up on what we have to do. See? You know, sometimes people think, oh, yogi is love and flowers and home, kumbaya. Get real, people. Please, please, please. This is a battle. You know, you have to battle for your sanctity. You know, you have to battle. I'll address you. You have to battle to bring joy, bring humanity to whatever community that you're in. See, it's not you. See, you have to become an agent for the kingdom. It's not about you consuming stuff for you. You can do that, but you're not involved in evolution. You're involved in just maintenance, but not evolution. And yoga is about the deepest, greatest evolution. Okay. Craig, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just with the image of like the sword. So I have trying to figure out the discernment of that within like with work. So I have this experience of like you mentioned how people all have different realities and they often want that reality to be what you are part of.
Yeah, they want to trump everybody else.
Yeah, so I experience pretty much on a daily basis that by several people wanting that reality, and they're willing to go behind me to destroy me, to
Sure.
in order to
Sure.
So I'm kind of lost as to how, you know, do I fight it? Do I just try to just stay
That's
neutral?
true.
You know, how do you?
Well, every circumstance is different. But the very first thing is you must maintain your own spiritual integrity. Your own values you must maintain. Sometimes you have to go head to head. Sometimes you have to endure. You have to make the discernment as to what is the most productive means. That means may change over time. See, today you fight. You know, maybe the next day you endure the insult. See, but you maintain. You don't change who and what you are.
Right.
See, you maintain your integrity, and you wait for the appropriate moment to act. See, and sometimes, like I've lost jobs for being too honest. What are you going to do?
Right,
You're working in a job and you see all kinds of terrible mischief going on. You know there's bad things coming down the line because of it. You speak up,
Right.
and you lose your job.
Yeah.
That's happened to me a number of times. What are you going to do?
Yeah, kind of. I understand.
You know,
yeah.
either you become
Something you're not.
complicit. You know, there's two types of sins: omission and commission. See, sin of doing something wrong, or not doing something right. See, and you got to understand, you pay the price. You know, so sometimes you lose the job, or sometimes you resign. See, nothing about yoga is easy. Nothing about this is easy. You know, but your own spiritual dignity you have to fight for. You always have the remembrance, when I stand before God, will I be standing with dignity or in rags? You see? You are going to dress yourself in whatever garments. Your life pattern will be how you stand before God. It'll be the remnants you wear. Sometimes people go in rags, sometimes in the glory of light. See? I think like a Gandhi, who barely wore clothes, stood with the radiance of light before the kingdom. See? Others not so much. See? So that's the beauty of studying in real yoga, coming to the real yoga. You understand the saints are real. Masters are real. God is real. And you fight to become part of that community. See? And you have the awareness of accountability. So like a rogue, they're not thinking about being accountable. They're thinking about doing some mischief and getting away with it. There's no sense of accountability. In deeper yoga, you have a sense of accountability. You know, you never forget that at the end of your day, in your last breath, those masters, those saints, that higher reality is present, and you'll stand before it. You know, it's not a thing about fear. It's just about the recognition of reality. You know, that's just a real situation. You are accountable. You know, so live your life with some kind of intelligent, constructive dignity and right action. You know, you become a force in the world. You become an energy in the world. The yoga process is about purifying, rarefying, spiritualizing that energy, so that you're not just this big masala, this big mix of stuff. You become a force, like a laser light in the world. See, of divine purpose, of solar purpose. See, not random impulsive action, but deep spiritual purpose. See? You're born out of spirit. See, and as the question is, do you pass through this world, you know, like a fragile flame, or like a laser? The yogi becomes like a laser that can just cut through the nonsense. See? But we start out as a fragile flame. And the yoga study, what do you think you're doing in meditation when you're sitting? You're building a powerful, purified, energetic vision, fueled by the energy of the soul. See, fueled by the energy. How much of your mind right now is fueled by the soul? In terms of its purpose, in terms of its quality, in terms of its nature. Most of your mind is filled with stuff. Just stuff. How much of it is inspired by the soul? See? When you're sitting, you're giving the solar presence within you an opportunity to manifest through your heart and through your mind. That is what you're doing. You're creating an opportunity for the soul to manifest. You're quieting the mind and the heart of all the common stuff of life, so that a greater reality can be made manifest. It's there. It's just dormant. You've got so much other stuff going on that you're entertaining. Meditation is putting all the stuff aside. So what's deepest, what's most real, can have an opportunity to manifest. That's what you're doing. See? So that you start to identify with your solar energy, as opposed to all your infinite impulses. See? Infinite common attractions, common pleasures, as opposed to your deepest eternal joy. See? That's what you're doing. So this yogic renewal is a total restructuring, a total reorientation from pleasure to joy, from sort of a cacophony of noise to a blissful silence. See? From dull insight to profound insight. See? See? From confusion to divine order and insight. That's what you're doing with real yogic renewal. That's what you're doing. You're coming to your greatest self, your greatest capacities, your greatest fulfillment. See? So we all have a piece of cake. And then a few weeks later, more cake. More cake. Were you ever really fulfilled? You're having something really sweet, wonderful. But were you ever really fulfilled? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because you're back next week for it. You know? the type of renewal that yoga brings is a consistent perennial feeling of well-being, a feeling of joy, a feeling of I am right in the world. It's okay. No matter what's going on, you feel good. And it's not only you're feeling good, you feel a purposefulness to inspire goodness. When did the farmer ever, till the earth just for himself? Never. Never. It was for his family. It was for his neighbors. It was for his community. He didn't just till it for himself. There's always that for the good of all. Always for the good of all. May all be nourished. See? It's part of the bones in the farmer. So that's part of the bones in the yoga, that you're never thinking about yourself. You're saying, what is for the best? Not what is good for me. What is for the best? If I do what's for the best, I'll be taken care of also along that. As opposed to what's good for me, that may put a lot of other people in a deficit position. See? What's for the best, not what's good for me. See? If I take care of what's for the best in that current, I'll be taken care of also. See? So these are the kinds of adjustments, psychological, emotional, physical adjustments, and statements that you have to remind yourself of. And you do it all the time. Every time you come to a big decision, don't say what's good for me, say what's for the best. That will really make a different angle on how you make your decision and what you choose to do. See? What's good for me, you say, oh, that's a business deal, I'm going to really profit. But you're not looking down the line to see if anybody else if there's any collateral damage, because you're just thinking about yourself. If you say what's for the best, you don't pee in the river where people are drinking downstream. See? What's for the best? So you go find the appropriate action. See? So this is our process. This is this dynamic journey of renewal, of finding, of reading the scriptures, reading the lives of saints, and finding out what really inspires you. And then realizing that they're a human and you're a human. If they can do it, you can do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. They can do it, you can do it. You might have to find your own road to it, but you can definitely do it. See? This is a universal science. It's a universal process. Everybody will move to a point of liberation at some time, in some birth. It's your destiny. It's just when you want to take the journey. God gave you free will. You can lay back and take a nap, or you can get busy. It's up to you. It's up to you. And heaven has given you infinite births to work it out. So, especially like the people of us, like some of us are getting a little bit older, a little long in the tooth. So, I'm starting to tell people, you can get old or you can get busy. Some of us are getting up there now, so you can get old or you can get busy. My advice is get busy. So, with something truly purposeful. Unfortunately, I saw a lady the other day. I was over at the park, and she's, well into her 60s, and worn by her life experience. But she's wearing the clothes of a 25-year-old girl. Now, is there any reality there? Or is she living in a past dream? She's lost her present dignity and thinks that she's the 25-year-old girl, of which everyone looks at her and first says that's completely ludicrous. See, we have to be real. See? We have to accept where we are, what we are, our present condition, and then try to build. But it starts with a type of dignity inside. That poor woman is trying to be 25 and she's 65, 67 years old. And it's not like a young 67. No. She's been on the road. You know? So she's seeking a past pleasure and not trying to cultivate a current joy. See? A current joy. See, a perennial joy. So this is the type of situation that you can get if you don't try to figure out what you want to cultivate. You know? If you're not consciously trying to cultivate a joy and an insight and a compassionate life, well, you're just falling into stuff. You know, it's just the stuff of life. Some of it sticks, some of it doesn't. But that becomes your life. You know, you don't have to live in a physical or psychological ghetto. You chose to sort of lay back and have it happen. Oh, this is what life did to me. Give me a break. Give me a break. You know, either you're a captain of your ship, or you're like the anchor, you know, dragging along the bottom. You know, get up on the ship and steer. That's yoga. There's no drift in yoga. It's deliberative action. You know, if you, okay, we're all human beings. We're all good people. Don't we have to bathe? Whether we like it or not, the body gets dirty. Whether we like it or not. So we all bathe daily. See? Same thing with your mind. The mind is just a finer fabric. This is a coarse fabric, clay pot fabric. The mind is just a finer fabric. Don't you think you should wash it every now and then? Otherwise you're just falling back into the stuff of life. You know, nobody wants to get dirty, but it happens. It's just part of being in the world. So wash this body, wash this heart, wash this mind. Because just the stuff of life, the dust of life, the rubbish of life, it sticks. It sticks. And that becomes who you are and what you're about and what you're comfortably uncomfortable in. See? So, bathe. Bathe. Wash your mind. Wash your heart. Wash your body. See? People don't think they should wash their minds. What's the matter with you? Think about it. You know? Think about it. You know, that's why you pray. That's why you practice mantra. That's why you practice meditation. That's why you practice good works. Wash. See? Don't you think that's about, don't you feel renewed after a bath? Of course you do. Well, what about your heart? What about your mind? Wash them. Wash them. Those are fabrics also. See? This body is a fabric of perception. I can hear you, I can see you, I can smell you, I can touch you. All those senses are there. The heart is a fabric also of experience. The mind is also a fabric of experience. I can understand you, or I can feel. I can have empathy. See? Isn't that a fabric of communion, of understanding, of perception? Just like this physical clay pot is a vehicle of perception. See? It's a fabric. This is a fabric. This is a fabric. See? Understand it. If it's a fabric, it can pick up stuff. It can pick up good stuff, pick up a lot of junk. See? So the yoga process is just a very practical, realistic way of saying, what is my constitution and how do I keep it clean? How do I keep it refreshed? And how do I keep it purposeful? Because I know a lot of people, they have lots of physical assets. They own properties, they own cars, they're getting all kinds of annuities coming in. Absolutely miserable. Absolutely miserable. They have all the stuff of life that we would consider a good life, and they're absolutely miserable. I mean, some of them to the point of wanting to end their existence. And they have every avenue. But they have never involved themselves in the yogic process, which is looking at the joy. What is for the best? See? if you involve yourself in these processes, you're ever new, you're ever fresh, you're ever purposeful. See? Your life becomes a joyous adventure. Doesn't mean you're not going to stub your toe. Doesn't mean you're not going to have difficulties. But the body of your life, the real body of your life, is a joyous continuation, a joyous expansion. See? You know, if you look at the saints, don't think they had it easy. It was always a struggle. There's always someone hitting the saint with a rock. All the time. Ram Krishna, Ram Krishna. You know? But they kept going. They would constantly pray. They would constantly do divine recitation. They would constantly sit in stillness. See? That constant washing. That constant renewal. See, we have to be renewed by our spirit, not renewed by our thoughts or by our feelings. See, until we can help the soul to manifest and purify the heart and purify the mind, we're sort of reprocessing stuff and often junk. See? Oh, my heart was broken. And 25 years later, you're still thinking about your broken heart when you were 22 years old. You know, now you're 45 and you're still thinking about that. You're reprocessing junk, stuff, as opposed to having some kind of emotional renewal. You know, being fresh in your heart and moving along. Just like water that moves stays pure, you can drink it. Water that sits there and is stagnant, beware of drinking it. Beware of reprocessing it. It'll make you sick. See? So this yoga renewal is a very dynamic process of constant renewal, of constantly being able to find a deeper personal reality. What the newspapers and your friends are going to tell you is of the common world. What the saints are going to tell you is of your eternal, joyful reality. What's possible. What's possible. What's attainable. See? So you get what you go for. See? You get what you go for. You don't go for it, you don't get. This is life. So any thoughts? I have no idea what time it is. Yes, Ruth.
Yeah, I have sort of a thought.
Yeah.
There's this finding that has been advertised that if people make, I'm sure it depends where and your circumstances and your family, but $75,000 a year. This is very interesting. That people beyond their whatever their basic needs are defined as to them tend to be happy. That there is a certain need to take care of those basic ones. Now I don't believe like Maslow you always have to do that first. Okay. But it's really interesting to me that that's coming out of this population. That it's the finding is that if you've got millions and cars and yachts and all of it's not the answer. But that there's a need of desperation at a lower level.
Wow.
That does take over.
Those studies are useful, but in a limited way, because that's just looking at a material perspective.
Yeah.
If you go to India or any third world country, you can find a lot of joy in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, you can find a lot of joy in the streets. People singing, people dancing, people smiling, and don't have 2 nickels to their name.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, it's your internal prosperity, not your economic prosperity. Ultimately, it's your internal prosperity, which is the determinator of your experience in the world. I can attest that I know lots of wealthy people, and most of them are not happy. You know, Hari has barely had 2 nickels to scratch together most of his life, and it's been a pretty good ride.
Yeah.
It's been a really good ride. You know, of course, there's difficulties, but hey, I wouldn't change places with other people.
Yeah. Another thought on it?
Yes.
Yeah, that we live in cultures too. So I don't know about the people you're talking about in India, and there are many different situations. But we are in such a competitive, look out for yourself kind of culture.
That's if we buy into it.
And Well, yeah, but if we were in more of a culture of giving, I think it would make it, and which is already getting into some of the perfections of a different way of life.
That's true.
It
But
would kind of make that easier. Now, I'm not saying that we can't all be happy on a couple of nickels, but we can be happier on a couple of nickels than something else,
yeah,
which is what you're saying.
yeah,
And we could have a culture that nourished that.
yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, if you can have external prosperity,
yeah.
great. God bless you.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you want to make that external prosperity meaningful, start to give.
Right.
Start to give. And then, Ram Krishna, then you'll have both meaning and joy. If you have your external prosperity and it's all about you, you're just a swamp. You might be a dressed up swamp, but you're still just psychologically a swamp. You know, I'm just being real. You will not ultimately be happy. You know, you were born in community. You know, who was ever born alone? Come on, at least your mom was there. You're always born in some form of community. Okay. So ultimately, we're supposed to live in community. You know, and prosper in community, and serve community, and enrich community. You know, we were never born for ourselves. You know. You know, when did the apple never offer itself? Apple tree offers what it has. It's nature to offer what it has. You don't even have to pick it. Something will just drop to the ground and offer itself there. See, we have to be like that. You know, we have to learn. We have to learn the spirit of generosity. You know, without that, we may have the car, we may have the house, we may have the properties, but we won't have happiness. You know, I myself have witnessed many people who have passed away. Many. Most of them don't die happy. Why? You live or die by your habits. See? All those habits of, you know, me. They all come together in your last days. And what you have is me, fear. Me, terror. A lot of people like that. A lot. Not me. They fall upon their rotten past. I'm not saying they're bad, but they weren't truly productive like a tree. You know, which is, it's
nice.
always doing something.
Yeah.
You know, even a basic tree is cleaning the air.
Right.
So what about you as a human being with all of your facility? See? How much did you enrich the community? You know? So we have to sort of take a heads up and learn to enrich what's around us. You know? Then we're fulfilling our solar purpose. See? The mind and heart can become neurotic. The soul is never neurotic. The soul is always a reflection of the kingdom. And every being has a soul. Every being has a soul. But it's a case of this renewal is a process of getting in touch with your solar reality. You know, if you're embraced by God, at what moment are you sad? At what moment is the difficulty? See? You know, no matter what's going on, it's okay. It's okay. See? So read the biographies. There's that biography of that Vietnamese nun called Learning True Love.
Sean Kong.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
should read her biography.
Yeah.
Learning True Love. Everybody should read her biography. She's in the middle of a war zone in Vietnam. There's battles going on all around her. And she's walking through peacefully with her mind on the breath and Dharma in her heart and bringing humanitarian medicine and things to various communities. And literally a war is raging around her. Okay? Or read the American yogini, Peace Pilgrim. Everybody should read Peace Pilgrim. A woman from I think the 1940s on walked through every state in America, never asking for a ride unless it was offered, never asking for food unless it was offered. This is a woman in the 40s, 50s, and 60s walking by herself through every contiguous state in America, sleeping on the roadsides with a message of goodness and joy, never asking for food, never asking for, and she did it for 30, 40 years.
Wow.
Everybody should read her biography. And she came from wealth. She wasn't some poor person she had no facilities. No, no, no. This is a woman who was born into privilege and abandoned privilege because of what was in her heart. And she talks about her spiritual journey and her spiritual stability and her spiritual joy as she moved through this. Everybody should read the story of Peace Pilgrim. Everybody. Because that's your story. It's what's possible for you. You know, it's what's possible. She lived in a state of joy, but had nothing. She had a little tiny bag that she could carry. That was it. That was it. See? So Peace Pilgrim is in each of us if we want to take the journey. See? If we want to take the journey. Oh, any other thoughts, questions, curiosities? Okay. So what I'm saying, it's not easy, but it is your destiny, and it is a way out. It's a way out of this rubbish pit of materiality, this rubbish pit of greed, this rubbish pit of self-centeredness. That's really all a big rubbish pit. You know? On one of my cards, you'll see the process that I teach is that people should study, study, study. That means read the lives of the saints, read the scriptures, you know. Sit, sit, sit means deep inquiry. Practice prayer, practice mantra, practice meditation. These are ways of self-purification and true self-insight. The third thing is give, give, give. It's not about you. Enrich the community. And when I say the community, I'm talking about the earth itself, the animals itself, the humans itself, the sky itself. See? Don't isolate life. See? Be a generative, positive force for all of it. And the fourth thing I say is rejoice. Rejoice. Be happy. See? If you're studying, if you're sitting, if you're giving, your only response will be a joyous yes. Yes. A joy in the world. Rejoice. You've lived a noble life. You've gotten through well. See? You've lived well, you'll die well. You'll continue to experience beyond this mortal coil well. It doesn't end with this clay pot. See? So this is the renewal that is involved in the joyous process of yoga. You create your life. You create your destiny. If you're thinking, oh, this happened to me, this is happening to me, well, please, behind all this has happened to me, somewhere you developed an energy to have these things manifest. People don't want to hear that. Oh, I'm an innocent victim. Please, please. It's how you choose to respond to the world. What you do with the energies that come at you. That's your responsibility. Yes.
I'm taking in everything you're saying, and I have often wondered, though, when I see an infant that's hungry or an infant that's
a
malformed.
Good statement. If you think, sure. This is a very important inquiry that you have. If you think that life is just one birth, then you can say, wow, there's many injustices. Why was this one born rich? This one was born poor. This one was born healthy. This one was born sick. If you think that we just have one life, one birth, then it's very hard to think that there's a a justice and a balance in the world. See, or the world can seem fickle and cruel. But if you look at the sages of the past, who say that we have an infinite amount of births, and we're responsible for the actions of each birth, then the law of karma comes in. So we're not to condemn the person who is sick or born with difficulties, but it's just the product of past actions made manifest. And us as other humans in the community, it's our obligation to compassionately assist them in their more joyful, more expressive, more purposeful manifestation. We see the difficulty and we respond in a compassionate, empathetic way. There's no judgment about it. We've all been bandits and we've all been really good people. If you accept the premise of reincarnation, which I completely do.
So it's, am I to understand it as cause and effect?
That's a limited way of saying it, cause and effect. That we are responsible for our past actions. But the yogi interpretation is not to put judgment on it. It's to say, we've made mistakes and this is the product of mistakes made. Okay? And then it's the job of the community to say, okay, there's difficulty here, how can we make it healthy? So not to judge it. Oh, that bad thing happened to you because you did something bad and you're probably a bad person. No, that's not the yogic mentality. The yogic mentality is somehow you're in a really lousy situation, you've made some mistakes to have that manifest, how can I help? See, that's the yogic perspective. How can I help? See? When Jesus was on the cross, whom did he curse? No one. No one. Whom did he bless? Everyone. Even in that state of profound crisis. See, he didn't judge anybody. You know, how did the guy next to him get on the cross? You know, how did he land up there?
I'm not Christian, so
Yeah.
I have difficulty with the concept of original sin.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you put the two together?
No, these are just analogies that I'm using, and you don't have to. And the concept of original sin is a particularly Christian construct. So I'm not discussing that. I'm not discussing the notion of original sin at all. I'm discussing that we are accountable for the actions that we manifest. We are accountable for what we put into the world. Whether the accountability comes today, 10 years from now, or 10 lives from now, we're accountable for what we've created in the world. The bread I give you is the same bread I have to eat. Okay? So that I understand the quality of what I've given. See? So if I have given cruelty, I must experience cruelty so I understand it. See? So that I can choose not to involve myself in that activity. See? So it's a way of an intelligent accountability, but with no judgment.
Well, I want to bring in kind of group karma and unconscious.
Sure.
So there are these really important books out now, like The Sixth Extinction, and how we as a species are wiping out,
Yes.
you know, species that's never happened that way before. And much of this, you know, we don't even know what we're doing. That is, because of our culture, we were raised to do this and that. We don't realize it's lethal. And some of it we do, and some of it we put out of our minds. But some of it we don't even know. How does group karma, if we're talking about habit patterns, you know, tell me about
Group karma is
Yeah.
there's no difference between group karma and individual karma other than you have more souls involved. It's the same thing.
cultural karma.
Oh, there is. There's group
Yeah.
karma, there's national karma.
Yeah.
You know, if you, in a very understandable way, a family is group karma. How those people,
yeah.
how those
Oh, yeah.
people all get together.
Yeah.
There's karma that has to be worked out. How come one brother you like and then one sister you not so much? There's stuff to work out. So, but to understand and appreciate karma, you have to also understand and accept the idea of reincarnation. See? The great
Yeah,
sages
I
of the
do.
past all attest to the fact of reincarnation.
Yeah.
You know, because of primarily political reasons, in Western spirituality, a lot of those understandings have been suppressed, and that was purely because of politics.
Yeah.
You can control the masses easier if they don't think they have a second chance, and they think that their only way to the kingdom is through some organization. See, the yogis say everybody is a temple. Everybody can have personal liberation. You don't have to go through an institution.
Right.
You know, if you're
But-
still, you can find
Yeah,
them.
I say we're all in this kind of awful time, the Kali Yuga, right? So we have a lot of bad stuff going on we're not totally aware of, and we're trying to work our way out of it, hopefully together. I mean, karma's not about right and wrong doing in a conscious
It's
sense.
about
It's-
learning.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not quite sure what I'm asking, but it seems we're all caught in this dilemma.
Yeah, we're all caught in the
Yeah.
body of ignorance.
Yeah.
And in the
Right.
body of ignorance, mistakes are made.
Uh-huh.
See? But the yoga process is a divine dispensation of a way out of ignorance.
Okay, good.
It's a way
Yeah.
out of ignorance.
Yeah.
And in that way out, it's a compassionate way out. Not only compassionate to ourselves, but compassionate to everyone we meet. See? So that it's a way out via the spirit. See? So, mistakes are natural. But mistakes are correctable. And you don't have to make 10,000 mistakes every step. So now you start with 10,000, then maybe you start have 1,000, then maybe you have 100, maybe you have 10.
Right.
So you sort of you work your way out of your own mistakes and delusions and lack of proper perception. Nobody wants to make a mistake. You make a mistake based on incorrect perception.
Right. So defining karma more in terms of learning, that's very helpful.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Karma is not punishment.
Yeah.
Karma is for you to have a full understanding of what you've manifested in the past so that you can do better in the future. See? To have a full understanding. You know, if you've brought poverty to others, it's probably a good idea that you have poverty yourself so that you can understand and empathize with those who are poor, and then your next actions will be to enrich the community as opposed to continue your behavior of impoverishing others. But you have to eat that same bread so that you know the quality of it.
One more thing, I'll
Yes.
try to be quiet. Now, my daughter sent me something really lovely, and it was called The Egg, and it was the story of a person who's being reborn and had some guide. And was hearing about the next life, which was in the past, and was in a different culture. And why am I going back? And it turned out the egg was this one person who was living every life through all times and all space, and that this was the teaching. So, and that doesn't seem wrong. But I thought it was really great. First of all, she liked it.
Yeah.
And that she could see that, you know, in a sense, we're all living all of these lives together. Right? Is another way of looking at it.
I have not read
Yeah.
this. I haven't read this text, but
Oh, I'll
the-
find it if you like.
no need.
Yeah.
But just from what you said, there are
Yeah.
many, both literal and deep metaphors in what's being said.
Uh-huh.
But for me to discuss that would take many hours,
Right.
because the yoga discusses these types of scenarios in detail. But this is not a forum to address that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just happy you mentioned it. I will tell her I mentioned it too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Any other questions,
Yeah.
thoughts, curiosities? Miss, do you have any questions? You should ask like 10,000 questions. You know?
Well, you'd said to read the saints,
Yes.
and I was wondering who. You gave us 2 readings.
Yeah, Peace Pilgrim and that book, Learning True Love, which was a Vietnamese nun. She's a Thich Nhat Hanh's disciple and a Dharma teacher. But what I can do is I can put together a list and Sylvia will send it out.
Oh, good idea.
But that should be like the bread, just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they are the ones who are actively pursuing manifestation of this spirit in the world. See, so we can get a heads up on the obstacles, we can get a heads up on what disciplines that we have to master in order to be the fullest you, the truest you. See? Not what other people say you are, but the truest you. The you that's hidden in your heart. You know, that eyes can't see, but a deep empathetic heart can know. See? Any other thoughts? Lisa, do you have any questions, ma'am?
Oh, no, thank you.
No? Okay. She's like me sometimes. Sit in the back, just quiet. Watch. I understand that. I understand that. Okay, so if there are no more thoughts, questions, anything, phone? No. So, Ma?
No, I just wanted to let people know that I can put their name on the
Oh yeah,
list.
there's a mailing list if you want. You're more than welcome. Always contact Sylvia for those things. And then you'll know what types of things are going on.
Can we have Sylvia your email address?
No, after we'll take care of that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
You're on the mailing list.
I know that, I wanted to get that reading.
Oh, okay.
oh, yeah,
Thank you.
it'll be
Yeah.
sent out to you.
Okay, thank you.
So, so I don't see any more hands coming up. So, and also when you go home, if you have questions, write it down. You know, I'm accessible. You can email me, you can call me, or you can come by. You know, but take the opportunity. So what we'll do now is that we'll chant Om again 3 times. Just sit quietly for a few moments, and then they'll be serving lunch in the back. This is all a wondrous journey and a wondrous struggle. You know, if you're lazy, forget yoga. Go bicycling. Go do something else. Go play ping pong. But if you want true renewal, you know, get your pack on. You know, do the work, and you'll achieve. You'll achieve. This is meant for everybody, but it's when you have the fire in your belly to take the journey. You know, when you've had enough. You know, when you've rolled around in the mud enough. When all the pleasures is not enough. When you get fed up with the pleasures, you start looking for the joy. See? One is momentary, one perennial. So, do that work of renewal. You'll achieve. You'll accomplish. So you'll take a deep breath in. gently take a deep breath in. And then release the breath. And then you can gently